Welcome in to the Greg Colby Show. Domenic Panza for the Marauder Sports Broadcasting Network, and I'm joined by Millersville head football coach. Coach, let's talk about Bloomsburg quickly. Let's start with the score. It was a nice drive by the Marauders after falling behind 20-0. Decent drive, ends in a touchdown. How were you feeling at that point?
Well, you know, we still, at that point in time, felt like we had a long way to go. Felt good that we finally put a drive together and our offense was able to get some consistency and string some things together, some plays together and score, which, you know, showed a little bit of our potential. But, you know, it was short-lived, and I got to give Bloomsburg credit. They did a great job. They were the better football team on Saturday.
How difficult was it when they were able to piece together a late second quarter drive after you did get those points on the board?
Well, you know, that's always frustrating when you do score and you come back and you let them come right back and score again, and especially at the end of a half. And that's you know, that's something that's it's hard for our guys to psychologically overcome that when we come back, and so that's something that, number one, we got to try to prevent. Number two, we got to work hard on coming back and trusting that we have a chance to come back and make plays and rebound from what happens. It's something we talk about all the time with our guys about how we respond to what happens on the field, both good and bad. So, you know, we've been responding pretty well to those situations. Saturday we didn't respond as well as we should have.
The Huskies did something that no other team this season has been able to do. They contained Jamal Smith, but Matt Eggenreiter has emerged. So talk about those two receivers.
Well, you know, I've said all along, I mean, Jamal is probably Billy's number one target, but Matt is quietly coming along and catching just about as many passes and just about as many yards, and he's as effective as Jamal is, just not as flashy. So, you know, it's having both those guys out there, you know, in most cases will keep them from being able to focus on one or the other. And then the other guy who's really not come into his own yet that will very quickly is Domenic Sanders. And, I mean, Dominic's a good talent, a great talent. And, you know, it's just a matter of him stepping up just a little bit more and Billy getting the ball to him a little bit more. Then you've got three choices, and now it makes it even more difficult.
Brandon Gum was another standout this weekend, ran really hard in the second half. Tell us about him.
Yeah, I was happy with Brandon's performance in the second half, especially in the run game. You know, we've been saying all along we need to run the ball better and need to keep working on it, and we had an opportunity to do that and give Brandon some opportunities out there. And he showed the flashes of some of the talent that he showed in camp and early season, and that was good to see. You know, being a young guy out there getting a chance to go, and, you know, sometimes freshmen don't always play up to their ability, but I think with more playing time, you know, he'll be able to do that, and that'll give us a third really strong running back. You know, we get Mike Jones back healthy, and of course we got Fatine, and with Brandon, it's a pretty good triumvirate.
What do you think, if any, was there an effect from the Gannon game carrying over into this past weekend?
Well, I'm not sure there was effect from the Gannon game. I think you know, coming into this game, you know, it was one of those that I'm not sure our guys are used to being in a position where they could win the third game out of four in a season. At least I know they haven't been in that position. I'm not sure if that was a factor, and our guys coming in with a little bit more nervous than normal. I think we looked a little bit nervous early. You know, we weren't playing quite with the intensity that we had played with before, so maybe there's a little bit of that going on. And when you play a team like Bloomsburg, you can't play them like that. You have to come out and play full bore and you know, utilize your talent as highly as you possibly can to have an opportunity to stay with them.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get ready for Cheyney University, the game on this coming Saturday. Now it's time for this week's Marauder Pride Play of the Week. This week, Mike Jones, 37-yard scamper down the sideline.
Jamal Smith on his right, Domenic Sanders to his left. The handoff goes to Mike Jones on the left side, and he finds a little bit of room, and there he goes, finds a bit of separation, gets to about the 30-yard line as he's taken down. But Mike Jones, the Syracuse transfer.
And this has been the Marauder Pride Play of the Week. Welcome back to the Greg Colby Show. Domenic Panza with head coach of Millersville football, Greg Colby. And as we had just mentioned, Cheyney coming up this weekend. What do you expect from them?
Well, I tell you what, I keep saying this each year. The next year, they're a little bit better than they have been. They're better than they were a year ago, and they were better last year than they had been the year before that. Their coach is doing a great job. Jeff Braxton is doing a great job of utilizing the talent that he has, and they've got some talent now. They've got speed. and athleticism, and they've got a system that's difficult to defend, at least from an offensive standpoint, and a defense on our part. They're running the triple option, and it requires disciplined defense and guys being in the right place at the right time. And it allows a team with a little bit less talent to be able to compete with other teams, especially when they got the kind of speed that they do. So they're doing a good job. It hasn't reflected in the win-loss column yet, but they've moved the ball on everybody that they've played, and their defense is playing better too. They're not doing a lot of things. They're just lining up and giving their kids a chance to be successful, and they're performing better. Their stats are better, and they look better on film.
They have a four-headed attack at running back. Marcus Jones, one of their top rushers. How do you look to slow them down?
Well, again, we've got to be very disciplined. We've got to have guys assigned to each phase of the option, and we've got to be disciplined in being on those phases, because if you miss any one of those, they're going to pop a play and get a big play on you, and especially on the perimeter when the quarterback pulls that ball and either he carries it or he pitches it. Again, you're out in the open, you're out in open space, which makes it more difficult to bring down a talented, skilled kid, and that's what they have. So again, we're going to try to get at least two hats on every phase of the option if we can, and make sure that we're there all the time so that we can slow them down a little bit.
How do you look to reignite your offense against this Cheyney defense? You mentioned they can be pretty tough.
Yeah, I think the nice thing is you know what they're going to be in, you know where they're going to be, so it allows you to line up and have a pretty good idea of what you need to do. And I think execution is important for us. I think we need to get healthy in the offensive line. We were down a little bit there against Bloomsburg. We had two of our starters out in that game, which made us shuffle people around, and that obviously was a little bit of a factor. So hopefully we'll have those two guys back, and we'll be back to full strength and be able to go back to working on doing what we do, and run the ball as effectively as we can, and be able to throw the ball and open up the run game.
What's the defense's mindset? Obviously, last weekend, not what they wanted to have done on their home turf. How are they feeling right now?
A little bruised right now. They're down. They thought they could come in and do a little bit better job of slowing Bloomsburg down. And when you don't do what you think you're going to be able to do, it's obviously a little bit of a shock to the system. But I think that's something that you have to learn how to live with, and learn how to overcome, and learn how to move beyond. And I think that's where we are right now with our guys. Hey, here's what happened. Here's why it happened. Let's fix what we can, and let's move on and get back to playing the kind of defense that we're capable of playing.
Finally, Coach, what do you think is the importance as far as stepping on the field immediately, but also keeping yourself in check after last weekend? I'm sure they're anxious.
Oh, yeah. I personally think you need to get back out and get going again and start working on the things that you need to work on. And it's always, we always come out the next day. We practice on Sundays, and at the beginning of practice, it's always down. After a game like Bloomsburg, guys don't really want to be out there mentally, but you push them and they get going. And by the end of practice, everybody's kind of got a little bounce in their step, and okay, we're back working on the next week's opponent, and we know what we have to do, and so let's go do it.
Well, we're certainly excited to see it. You can come check out the Millersville Marauders this weekend at Beamsdorfer Field and Chris Stadium. If you can't catch them live, then make sure you're tuning in live from the Marauder Sports Broadcasting Network at MillersvilleAthletics.com. This has been the Greg Colby Show. Thanks for joining us. For Greg Colby, I'm Domenic Panza, and we'll talk to you soon.